Isn't it remarkable that we're all here sharing this wonderful online space, something that just wouldn't have been possible 150 years ago? From my vantage point, there are 3 themes woven into this 2-day virtual experience. The first is relevance. For starters, look at the branding of the expo. Edutech. Education and technology, when put together, is a great example of relevance, something extremely useful. The second is transformation. I'm confident the real motive behind your attendance is to source ideas, to adjust or transform your existing conditions, to improve the educational experience for students. But let's be honest, you've already got great ideas of your own. So why do you need or want someone else's? I suspect you've probably got the teaching bug. The third is autonomy. Making your own decisions without being controlled by anybody else. This is the $1 million challenge. How might education and technology help us achieve this? Your best work is being relevant to children. Your real work is to transform the parent-teacher relationship. Autonomy will get you there. My name is Cheryl Lacey, and this is what I'll be sharing with you today. And at the end of our time together, I also ask this of you. Stop adding more to your workload. From this moment on, I want you to focus on what you'll reduce, what you'll remove, and what you'll replace. I share the view that school education has always been relevant. In fact, education will always be relevant if we honour its genuine purpose. I learned about the genuine purpose of school education from my 4th grade teacher. The year was 1973. A new student who was a recent arrival from Greece got caught smoking behind the school incinerator. The dressing down he got from our teacher went a little bit like this. You're an important member of this class and you belong to this school. I've noticed how much you like soccer, and I know you could teach all of us a few skills of the game. And if you work hard enough, you could even become a professional soccer player. In those few moments, I learned the genuine purpose of school education. To belong, to be responsible for self and others, and to strive toward personal fulfillment. What our teacher taught us that day is what he would have learned from his teacher. The genuine purpose of school education is no different today than it was during the 70s or the 1940s or even 150 years ago. In 1973, my 4th grade teacher had no idea what the new student or any of us would be doing in 1999 or today. And I can guarantee he wouldn't have predicted the possibility of an online event such as this. What he did know was that regardless of the path any of us chose, we all required the same foundation that he got. To belong, to be responsible, and to build on our existing strengths for personal fulfillment. He offered an equal opportunity for us all. Like my teacher, I have no idea what the world will be like 10, 20, or 200 years from now, and nor do you. But we certainly know what it was like yesterday and what it looks like today. As you're gathering ideas over the next few days and beyond, ask yourself these two questions. What was my most relevant work yesterday? How will the work I'm doing today be relevant 150 years from now? To be relevant, we must take history into the future. Now let's get back to Eductech. Education to change people through teaching. And technology, the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. Education and technology is synonymous with life and transformation. Around 150 years ago, a German baron created the first bicycle. Soon after, the first typewriter, the first telephone, and the first moving picture were created. We even got the first safety pin. From those first ideas to what we have today, how many transformations have taken place? And just think how many generations of students, teachers, and families have been involved. During the 80s and before teaching full-time, I worked in a construction firm. Sending information to Tokyo was done via a telex machine. My typing had to be perfect for the marked up tape to be threaded through the machine in one piece. Thankfully, that stress ended with the introduction of the fax machine and the office computer. My workload transformed many times over, and the new positions I took on didn't exist when I began at the company just 18 months earlier. And to think, the strength I had over other staff was made possible by one elective: typing. Education and technology has always transformed our lives. It always will. So let me ask you this question. What can you reduce, replace, or remove to add value to the choices your students make today to transform their own lives? Transformation is taking the fundamentals and choosing how to tweak them. Like many of you, I'm an educationist, and I'm also a parent. My oldest daughter was born in Thailand and my youngest in Hong Kong. I became their mother because their respective biological parents were unable to raise them. I often wonder how much influence my nurturing has had on them and how much of their success can be attributed to nature. As educators, we have a tremendous influence on the lives of so many. You could say we nurture. But being such powerful influences of change, we must ask ourselves why we do what we do. Do we make decisions for our own personal fulfillment? Is it to copy colleagues or keep up with transforming trends? Are our decisions based on the science? We know what's right for our students and we act accordingly. Or are we acting on behalf of parents? I would hope that you would answer like this. I make my own decisions without being controlled by anybody else. That's autonomy. You see, it's not your job to raise children. Your job is to help parents educate their children. And the best way to do that is to honour autonomy. Let me explain by first asking you these two questions. When was the last time you read the fine print before signing up for a new app or before purchasing new software? Do you read the fine print before asking parents to sign their children up for a new app or program? In 2019, in Australia alone, identity theft costs the country an estimated $3.1 billion. Children's identities are being stolen every day through online apps disguised as valuable education tools. Imagine you're a parent taking your 18-year-old to secure a loan for their first car, only to learn of the massive debts racked up in their name through apps recommended by schools. And last year in Australia, more than 250,000 child abuse files were intercepted, again through online educational apps. These are genuine issues of national security. By all means, you can decide to try new programs. You can participate in new research, and you can take away from this expo new trends. You can decide to recommend an app, and if you so desire, you can decide to ignore the fine print. But should you make a recommendation without having full knowledge of the potential consequences? And should you expect others to make decisions based on your own position? To have autonomy is not about ignoring rules or going it alone. To have autonomy is to act responsibly. The decisions you make every day influence the life of someone else's children. Remove risk, reduce risk by replacing school priorities with school-wide autonomy. Your autonomy, your colleagues, your students, and their parents. Everyone should make their own decisions without being controlled by anybody else. Autonomy creates healthy boundaries. For centuries, education and technology have been central to every society. The Great Pyramids of Cairo, Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and the Taj Mahal with its beautiful jewels embedded in its interior walls. And to think that 150 years ago, when the first telephone was introduced, it was impossible to predict the smartphones of today and their influence on education. Schools are as relevant today as they were in the 1970s, the 1940s, and 150 years ago. Our desire is still to belong, to be responsible, and to strive for personal fulfillment. It's your time to be the influencer. Be relevant, be your own decision maker, and teach parents and children to be the same. Thank you.